the bowels of Netflix, where your fearless co-hosts Isaac and Larry force each other to watch the worst pieces of shit on Netflix. We will go over every bad edit, all the broken dialogue, all the wooden acting, and laugh along the way, because this is the bowels of Netflix! Alright, welcome to the Bowels of Netflix. I'm Isaac, and with me as always is my fearless co-host Larry. How are you doing this week, Larry?
You know, today, on days like today, the 4th of July, it really reminds me to celebrate our great country, America, which is perfect, has no problems, and definitely deserves to be celebrated.
Well, as we learned the last 2 weeks, crime is over in America.
That's true. It was the last crime in American history.
Yep, all done.
How are we going to continue to produce this podcast, which is almost certainly some kind of crime?
Yeah, probably. Now, would you describe your movie as a crime?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Oh, okay.
This is crime against sensibilities and wit and the people with a brain. Thank God there's none of those here.
Oh, boy. So, we are the Bowels of Netflix. We're two old friends who despise each other thoroughly and make each other watch the worst movies we can find on Netflix and describe them in excruciating detail. We live on the internet, so you can play with us, twiddle us, twat us, poke us, Facebook, Twitter, those places. You know how it works. Send us an email at bowelsofnetflix@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you if you have any thoughts on the show, impressions, if you have any experience with these movies that you would like to share with us. Maybe you got a dirty handjob to Last Days of American Crime, a 2.5-hour handjob.
God, that sounds like hell on earth.
Yeah, what's the maximum duration for a handjob before you would just have to leave?
I'm gonna not answer that question, but I am going to say that I have been in a situation where I've been over that threshold.
Oh boy, good stuff.
Is it?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Anything touching your penis is a good thing.
God, it's been such a long quarantine.
You can buy live squid.
Really?
Well, I'm sure you can buy pretty much anything.
Squid is... You know what? This is not
slimy.
Conducive to a healthy work environment.
Yeah, probably not. All sorts of violations. But, oh boy, this week, Larry actually is reviewing a high-quality movie for the first time ever.
That's incorrect.
It's one of my...
Fundamentally incorrect.
Long-standing favorites. I saw this movie as an impressionable 14-year-old, I think.
Yes,
12,
that
13,
is...
14.
I believe 14 is the age I picked this movie was directed at. So yeah, that's about perfect. Yep.
But it has stayed with me, and it's a high-quality film. I can't believe the Academy snubbed it.
Yeah, you're really proud of that joke, because you sent that to me in a text as well.
Yeah. Well, I wanted everyone to know.
Yeah, this
should have won.
This is a blast from our past, for sure.
Yeah, because I subjected this to you in our first apartment together, I think?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. God, 10 years ago almost? Good lord.
God, yeah, we're getting old, man.
Yeah. But I really thought you would like it, because I loved it, and then you absolutely hated it.
I sure did, and rightfully so. And guess what? Not much has changed.
Oh, well, I will defend passionately.
Oh, good. I've planned for that, believe me. That contingency has been counted upon.
I'm nervous now. So, tell us a little bit about Orgazmo, Larry.
Oh, I mean, what is there to say? Why don't I'll give some details, and you can give the rest, because I don't have the details pulled up, because I'm not a professional. So, Orgazmo is a movie by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, which of South Park fame. So y'all who like South Park, they made you South Parks. So this is a South Park creator-based movie. Now, this came out in 1998. Isaac, I don't know anything about South Park. When did South Park start, and when does it get popular? And tell me about South Park.
I think South Park started in 97, so this is all around when they were hitting and getting famous.
Wow, amazing. Shocker. It's really astounding.
But, yeah, this and the Basketball is the other movie that they didn't write that one. They wrote this one. But Matt Stone, Trey Parker starred in Basketball. That came out in 98 as well.
Oh, they didn't write that? I just assumed they've been written. That one you did not subject me to. Dear God, please don't make that my next movie. I don't know if it's on Netflix. I should have looked.
It had been recently.
Great.
I like that one too. It's good. Good stuff.
Well, that one hits towards your baseball too, right? I think the reason you told me you weren't going to make me watch that one back in the past is because I had like no love of baseball or knowledge about baseball in any way, and you just knew I would hate it just based on that fact.
Yeah, it's definitely not a good movie, but again,
unlike
nostalgia.
this gem, though.
Oh well, see, this one's good.
I keep saying that.
Did Titanic come out in 97 or 98? I'm just wondering why this didn't make Best Picture.
Yeah. So, they also, now I don't know anything at all about this property, but they also wrote the Book of Mormon, right?
Yes, indeed. Very successful Broadway show, and
so it actually was a Broadway show. I only know it exists, and that's really it. I don't know anything else about them other than the name, and then it's the South Park assholes.
Assholes.
Yes.
No, started on Broadway. I think it still runs. I don't know if you can if there's like a DVD version of it, or you can stream it anywhere. I'm not sure. But that was very, very highly regarded, especially on Broadway. Not quite to the level of Hamilton. People's love for Hamilton is exceptional, but Book of Mormon was not far behind. That's the other Broadway show that's been, a feature of the last decade.
Now, have you seen that? Do you know anything about that?
I know very little, other than they want to do in South Park, and somewhat in this movie too. They make a lot of fun of Mormonism and Mormons, but they always do it in kind of, I don't know, almost like with a nod of fondness to them. And in the South Park episode that deals with Mormonism, they sort of like, yeah, these people believe ridiculous things, and they're kind of weird and goofy and insane, but they're also just generally really good people, most of them. And probably better people than you are, so, don't be a dick.
Oh,
they're weird.
That's certainly untrue. I'm God's gift to this earth. But anyway, that's why I bring it up, is because this Orgazmo is heavily Mormon-based as well, which is something I had completely forgotten. I kind of vaguely remembered when it came up. It was like, oh, right, there's Mormons in this. Yeah, right. I just assumed he was a Christian. I don't know. I just filled in the details.
Matt Stone and Trey Parker, I guess both of them are from Colorado, which is close, borders with Utah, and I think there's enough of a Mormon population in Colorado anyway. But neither of them are Mormon, but knew a ton of Mormons growing up.
It seems to be an obsession of theirs, because two of their 4 properties, I would say, are heavily Mormon influenced.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
and an interesting thing with the Book of Mormon, the show, the Church of Mormonism, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I guess, technically is the name. They took out advertisements in the playbill of the Broadway show, even though it was making fun of Mormonism. Huh. But they were like fine with it. Generally, Mormons are like, oh yeah, this is fun. They're poking some fun at us, but
that's interesting, because I don't think that's usually their MO. I think they're usually pretty protective of the brand.
No, yeah, they're pretty okay. Just the way the South Park guys deal with Mormonism, it's never nasty. Maybe
that's their reflective of... Yeah, I mean, in fairness, in Orgazmo, it's mostly... They tease. They don't really, like, do anything anti-Mormon or make the hero a rapist or anything. They just... It's like they poke fun at the Mormons. So maybe they maybe they take that in stride. But the Mormons are pretty, They keep a pretty close reins on that branding that I don't even think they like. I don't think Mormon is the word they really like. I think they prefer the Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
I will continue to call them Mormons because I don't care.
It's also less of a mouthful.
Yeah, all religion is garbage to me, so really, what does it matter? So that's... Right, so these guys... I guess, man, it's funny. I was listening, in preparation for our triumphant return, I was listening to some of our old episodes to try and get back in the mindset of 1.5 years ago Larry and what his thoughts and dreams were. I just hate everything, I think. I'm broken. I think I'm a broken, bad person and I hate everything. Because there's very few times where I say, like, oh, I like that thing. Or, oh, that's the thing that I enjoy. No, I just think I'm a hateful, spiteful, bad person. So I'm going to occasionally, when I start talking about things that I hate that aren't even related to the movie, I'm going to buttress it with a thing that I love.
Okay.
I'm going to run out very quickly.
An interesting game. Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm going to run out very quickly. But yeah, I say that because not a huge South Park fan.
You savage. It's great.
I don't dislike it. Like I don't look at that and scoff, but I just don't like. I'm just not interested. I didn't grow up with it. I wasn't allowed to do. I had a. My childhood was given an extension, let's say. So there was a lot of extra movies. There's a lot of movies and shows and stuff that my peers were watching that I was not permitted to watch while my family was going through one of its religious wave phases. So there was a lot of things like Ren and Stimpy totally missed me by. I was not allowed to watch it. South Park, same. I mean, South Park, children shouldn't be watching South Park anyway, but you know what I mean. So then there was a period of time where I was moving around. There wasn't television available to me, so South Park was like very deep in its heyday by the time it was like, oh, I could watch this now, and I don't know, what I saw was just like, well, I get nothing from this. This is nothing to me. So don't hate it, just not interested. And I don't know, the guys, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, seem like a pair of assholes. They seem like very smart assholes, so I'd probably like them because you and I are smart assholes, but, I am. You're pretty nice to most people.
No,
I am a garbage.
I've stabbed a few homeless people. Generally with, like, pens, so it's not as bad.
Jesus Christ, that is dark and untrue.
I called the bum tattoo.
Fucking A.
But yeah, my experience with South Park is basically the polar opposite, because my brother is 7 years older. That hasn't changed. That probably won't change.
You're catching up, don't worry. Keep at it.
But so he was in high school when South Park came out, and we just got Comedy Central on the cable box, and it was this big exciting thing. And I think I was 10 when it came out, and I was watching it when I shouldn't have been, and it helped mold me among other things that I was privy to that I probably shouldn't have been. But anyway, it made me into the horrible person I am today, so I'm always appreciative of it. But I've been watching since the first season, and so. But I don't keep up with it these days as much.
It's not because it has. You just can't unless you watch it every night around the dinner table. You just can't. So it is what it is. Yeah. These shows that have 20 plus seasons that are on constantly, there's no break. Then it's just like, what do you do? You just you dive in and out. I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's interesting. These guys are a big part of your. I would say the development of your early humor that has evolved more as an adult, I would say. Because,
for sure.
Because I have none of that. So most of this is absolute garbage to me, this fucking movie. And I hate them both. I mean, it's a thing, too, where I know even the parts where I, wrinkle my nose and say, what the fuck is that? There's, really respected movie critics who give them a lot of props. So it's one of those things where, against the majority of people who are a lot smarter than I am and have gone to school for this sort of thing and aren't just an asshole making a podcast in their underwear, yeah, okay, I'll admit there's probably just something I'm not getting.
I don't think Orgazmo was well received by critics.
No, Orgazmo, I'm talking about South Park. Orgazmo is a pile of shit.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Orgazmo can suck my cock. Anyway, I wanted to address the creators because they're more than just this movie. Unlike, usually it's people with a bad reputation or nobodies who don't matter. So these guys have a hit. It kind of like with Seinfeld, how we had to kind of blow Seinfeld for a little bit before we beat down B-movie.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes, Orgazmo. We've talked about how much you love this movie, but I guess that's I think we've covered all the points that are worth covering. Oh, we didn't do the actual scores because we got so caught up in sucking dick. The IMDb of Orgazmo is 6.2 out of 10.
Ooh,
so nice. A little higher than normal, but that'll reflect in Rotten Tomatoes. So the Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is 66%, which is a generally accepted good score. The tomato meter is a 48%, which is not as low as it should be, but it's still technically rotten, but just barely. In fact, I wanted to read what's the tagline for Roger Ebert, who, one of the best film critics of all time. I like South Park. It has wit. I guess Orgazmo was a stage the boys had to go through. That is, I could not, and you could skip the rest of the review now because that encapsulates this whole thing. It's just, this is something that Parker and Stone had to shit out to get out the last remnants of their 14-year-old humor before they moved on to 16-year-old humor in South Park. Anyway.
That's fair.
So, strap in, folks, and we get ready for an hour and a half of Isaac defending this garbage awful movie. Now,
great movie.
That said, do you think this movie holds up, Isaac?
Well, I did watch it again today, actually.
Yeah, you told me, and I'm blown away. Are you still married, or has your wife left you?
She didn't particularly enjoy it, but she didn't hate it.
Shocker.
She was definitely in between where I'm sure you came in and where I am with it. But she did watch the whole thing. She had started watching Zoom with me, which we did a couple weeks ago, and had to leave after like 30 minutes. Just couldn't stand it. But this movie, she actually sat through the whole thing and chuckled and enjoyed some of it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to it. There are parts of this and jokes in this I did enjoy. This is not one of the ones. This is by far not the worst movie we've ever had on the show. I did hate it. It does suck, but it definitely, like we said, these guys have talent, and at points it does shine through. So
yes,
there's a couple of jokes in here that made me laugh out loud, even, for sure. So we'll get to it.
But yeah, I could definitely tell nostalgia is a factor for me in this movie.
Yes, it 100% is, and you're totally wrong to keep liking it.
If I saw it for the first time now, I don't think I would hate it, but I would not like it as much as I do.
Wouldn't own the DVD like you currently do?
I actually don't own the DVD. Or do... Well, no,
you
I
did.
forget.
You did at one point, unless you got rid of it. Because I remember, we'll talk about it, we tried to watch the less rated version, and that side was scratched, and we tried it for 10 minutes, and then I was like, well, I mean, we can just look up breasts on the internet, so... Because we'll get to that, because I actually have a point to make about that. So,
about that.
Yeah, I think I'll live, believe it or not. So we kick off with the world's shittiest rock music performed by Parker and Stone with their band DVDA. Shut the fuck up, Isaac. We'll get to it later. About being a man. And I am going to actually... I had the lyrics pulled up, but I closed the tab because, like I said, I am not a professional. Let's see here. And song, Trey Parker.
I think this won Grammy for Best Original Song.
Let's recall now, Isaac, of your top, what like top of your movies would this be in? Do you think? Top 10, top 20, top 50, top 5, top 1.
No, maybe top 100, maybe. It's not very
top 100. I feel like if I had asked you a week ago before you watched this movie, you would be saying top 20.
No, it's not. I know it's not a good... It's like Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore. Like, they're not in my top 10 or top 20. I still love those movies, and I think they're generally good.
That's fair. But... your version of this for me is probably Happy Gilmore, because that's a movie that I'm sure on paper is a pile of shit, but I've seen it so many times, I kind of have a secret love for it.
Absolutely.
So, Orgazmo opens up with a song that has the following lyrics. Hey, what makes a man? Is it the power in his hands? Is it his quest for glory? Give it all you got, fight to the top so we can know your story. Now you're a man, man. Now you're a man, a manny, man. A man. You are now a man, you're a man, now you're a man. Live it. What makes a man? Is it the woman in his arms just 'cause she has big titties? Or is it the way he fights every day? No, it's probably the titties. Now you're a man, man. Thank you for laughing on cue when I expected you to. Now you're a man. Now you're a man, M-A-N, man. Now you're a man.
Genius.
Yeah, genius. I gotta say, though, that said, that fucking song is a goddamn earworm. Don't listen to it. Just let that be enough, because I've been singing it to the dog for the last week. So, yeah, I mean, this is all over some, like, comic book pages of Orgazmo that's drawn in yucky 90s comic style that I'm glad is dead and never took off, and gross. So we see a pair of Mormon missionaries walking around Los Angeles, whistling some fucking Mormon song, I guess. Their names are Robert White and Joseph Young. Young is our hero and is played by Trey Parker. So it's funny because... Mormonism was created by a man named... Fuck, I always get this wrong. I feel like the names are mixed up and they're not. What is his... God damn it. Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith was the... Thank you. So the Robert White name doesn't matter, but I always think it does. So Joseph Smith is played by Trey Parker. He's our main character. The founder of Mormonism was Joseph Smith, and then his number 2 was Brigham Young. So Joseph Young. Both of those men were polygamists who took on 15-year-old brides. So let's just keep that in mind. These two missionaries are going around proselytizing to people, including an old woman who is incredibly nice to them before telling them to fuck right off, and for once that's an almost direct quote. The two missionaries start talking about what it's like to be an LA Mormon. The unimportant partner is bummed out that they're in such a mean town, but the eternally optimistic Parker is excited that he's in a movie star town. We then cut to a porn set where we see a blonde lady reading off porn lines very poorly and takes off her bra. We get a second of titties before a man's ass fills the screen, accompanied by a 1940s car honk sound. The male porn star, who's an attractive man if you're living in the 1990s, licks his finger and slaps his ass, which you will get used to me saying, as I will be saying it a lot, because that is apparently what comedy is. So the two begin to fuck, with the female actress acting very poorly, not sure if plot point or bad actress. In the midst of the fuck, the male porn star pulls off his human mask to reveal that he is, in fact, Ron Jeremy, famous porn star. All right, so Ron Jeremy, the show has a little bit of history as Ron Jeremy. We talk about it occasionally, but this is the second iteration of Bowels on Netflix. About 6 or 7 years ago now, we did this show before, and we, that was the darker days. That was Netflix was 75% bad movies. Those were the salad days of where I could just have a queue of 50 bad movies just lined up row after row and row. But we kept running into Ron Jeremy. He is a bit part in like every movie in the 90s.
Yes.
He
was in Boondock Saints.
Really? I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's a bit part. He has lots of those weird little cameos where just filmmakers want Ron Jeremy in their movie for 20 seconds.
He is like he's a minor character in this. He's not just a bit part. Like he's a minor player in this flick. It's because just the way these things work. About 3 days ago, Ron Jeremy was accused of raping 3 women. So,
oh, damn it. I didn't hear that.
It just happened because I was looking up, I wanted to look up stats about him to talk about him, and then that was the first thing that came up is just how he's in this thing now. So, yeah.
That's no good.
Fuck that guy, I guess. Also, he is looking rough in jail. He is looking old and rough. And
oh, he's actually in jail?
He was in Prison Orange, so I guess he might be in custody. I don't know.
Oh, boy.
So anyway, Jeremy has a JM painted on his forehead as he is portraying the character Jizzmaster Zero. Is this everything you wanted, Isaac? Is this everything you wanted and more?
Yes.
I hope you're ready because I intend to destroy you over the next hour.
Jizzmaster Zero.
Jizzmaster Zero. Top 100 movies, this man.
Great villain.
So Jizzmaster Zero laughs at the woman who is horrified about the fact that he is Ron Jeremy who is about to fuck her and not a moderately 90s attractive man. While this is happening, the drywall behind Jizzmaster Zero bursts and Orgazmo steps into the room. Orgazmo, the character of Orgazmo wears a pink felt suit, a silver crotch piece, a green cape, like an eye slit mask, like a bandit mask, and and he has like the Orgazmo symbol on his chest, which is an O with a shitty lightning beam going through it, and it looks terrible. It looks like it was constructed out of scrap felt out of the dumpster of Joann's fabric, which it probably was.
Yeah, I don't think the budget for this movie was particularly high.
We'll get into that later. So, Orgazmo and Jizzmaster Zero have shitty porn movie banter. Can't believe I'm writing those words down. This movie is filled with just garbage sound effects. Orgazmo uses his Orgasmerator, we'll get to it, to quote-unquote shoot an orgasm ray at Jizzmaster Zero. The Orgasmerator is an arm-mounted cannon made out of craft store pieces that, in the context of the Orgazmo porn, gives people orgasms. When Orgazmo fires the Orgasmerator, it makes like a tongue fart sound, except when it doesn't, when it makes the sound of a cat meowing. When Jizzmaster is shot and falls over, defeated, the soundtrack gives a doo-doo-doo-doo sound effect, because this is just the height of comedy from these two men I have heard described as geniuses before. Geniuses. God damn it. So, anywho, I guess the orgasm. Why was I not invited to be a part of this movie? The orgasm does not take Jizzmaster Zero out for the count, and he and Orgazmo fight. We cut to the missionaries who provide exposition. They talk about Trey Parker's impending wedding to his very Mormon fiancée. She wants to get married at the Mormon Superdome in Salt Lake City, or I guess the temple or whatever. But it is very expensive. Throwaway Mormon partner says the line, "If you really want something to happen, the Heavenly Father will probably make it happen." Wow, my next words were cue Isaac chuckling, because one of the reasons he certainly loved this movie was the reinforcement of his burgeoning atheism.
Yeah.
You let me down for, honestly, the first time in our entire relationship.
I apologize.
Well, usually, we usually do this on camera, but I don't have room for you on my screen for the camera, so I couldn't see your reaction to that. So maybe you just had, hands full of penis, and I just didn't see it.
I've been trying to develop an orgasmerator, so that I'm just tinkering with that in the background.
Oh, God.
Right now I have an empty gallon of milk, and I've just been coming in it. I'm hoping I get somewhere.
Wow. God. What a life.
How long would it take you to fill a gallon of milk jug?
I don't know. I've seen a 2-liter bottle filled with cum, and it's never left my mind, and I kind of want to die. It's the worst.
Do you want to race?
No.
You do a smaller amount.
I really don't.
Like a 20-ounce Coke
The only
bottle?
place I want my cum to be is out of my life when it exits my body. Hi, Ma. How you doing? So back to the Jizzmaster Zero and Orgazmo fight. We see Orgazmo as a wimp and breaks his finger in the fight. He screams the line, I jammed my finger! And then they immediately play that same line right away, back to back. It's like, I jammed my finger! I jammed my finger! And I don't know why, but that really, really irked me. It's like, why bother? Why do that?
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, well, you were awash in a wave of Jizzmaster Zero love. So we see the director, hereafter referred to as Scuzzy Director, run over and berate Orgazmo. We also get the rest of the porn staff, none of whom matter, except for a wild-haired, mustachioed cameraman, played by the other South Park quote-unquote genius, Matt Stone. Can't wait to hear some of Matt Stone's quotes. Can't wait. So Scuzzy Director chews out Orgazmo. Scuzzy Director is sort of like an amalgamation of all movie directors and all gangsters rolled into one. He's basically like a fatter, dumpier, shittier Tony Soprano. Just, more mob boss than director. But yeah, that's really his whole shtick.
You've described him very well.
Yeah. The porn scene resets, and in the middle of the scene, the Mormons arrive. Scuzzy Director shouts for his lead goon, a gigantic man named Bilbo, to cut off the balls of whoever is at the door. Isaac, do you get it? Do you get the joke, Isaac? It's funny because Bilbo is huge, but the character in Lord of the Rings is small. Isaac, do you get it? Isaac, do you get the Bilbo joke?
What?
So Bilbo draws a knife and prepares to cut off the balls of the Mormons when Parker fights back and beats the hell out of Bilbo. Superfluous Mormon runs off. We never see him again, thank God. Scuzzy Director calls more guards to beat up Parker, who fights them all at once and beats the hell out of them. This scene is poorly shot and poorly acted, but this is a nonsense comedy movie, so whatever. Scuzzy Director is impressed at how well Parker beats up the goons, so invites Parker in to talk about Jesus, because that's what the Mormons do. Oh, God, this is a slog. I believe at this point, I'm getting to page 3 of my notes, and we are about 7 minutes into the movie. The two talk about Jesus for a while. The Scuzzy Director obviously not interested. While the porn set is reset in the background, blah, 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 talk. We see the director offers Parker a Happy Tart, which is just unwrapped Pop-Tarts in a box, which for some reason I find exceptionally horrifying, and I don't really know why. But they keep showing up in this movie. Like, they're at a party later, and there's just waiters walking around with boxes of Happy Tarts. And I don't understand if it's supposed to be funny or whatever, but I don't know. It's something about a box full of unwrapped Pop-Tarts. Just, it's one of those, like, it's something I'd be sent as a meme that would really disturb me.
It's an astute comment on consumerism, Larry.
Shut the fuck... No, it's not. No, it's two assholes who got high and said, hey, you know what'd be funny? If he just had boxes of Pop-Tarts, he ate the whole movie. We never talk about it. They keep coming back to these fucking Pop-Tarts. So the Scuzzy Director wheels and deals Parker into working as the lead actor in Orgazmo. Parker is hesitant because, of course, he's a Mormon and they can't fuck. I don't think ever. I don't really know how their religion works. So Scuzzy
After marriage is fine.
Yeah, like one time, right? You get one?
No, they make a bunch of babies.
Oh, they do make a bunch. They do fucking squirt out Mormons real fast, don't they? Yeah,
Yes.
It's been a while. Parker says it doesn't matter because he has a fiance, so he's not going to do porn, obviously. Scuzzy Director comes up with an ingenious plan. Whenever there's penetration, they'll use a stunt cock. This is the best part of the entire movie, but we'll get to that in a bit. After negotiating over the price and with the promise that Parker won't actually have to fuck anyone, Parker says he'll think about it. Or if you're me, he'll say, you write down, Parker says he'll think about, period. 2 periods in that sentence. Idiot. So back at home, Parker calls his fiance. He tells her that he has a chance to make a movie without telling her about the fucking part. When he tells her he's going to make $20,000, she screams super annoyingly loud, which is a bit they keep coming back to, and I don't know why, because it never goes anywhere. He tries to roundabout tell her that he doesn't really want to do it because God wouldn't approve. She tells him that God will forgive him because he needs money he needs money for his family's future more than he needs to follow God's plan. Because, of course, God loves his followers to be rich, after all, because religion.
Got to fill that collection plate up.
God. I once was at I've probably talked about this before because it's the thing I hate most about a church. I once was at a church service where they did the collection plate, and the sermon was about how, like, people don't give enough to the church. They send the collection plate around again. And just the fucking rage in my heart at age 14 was so deep.
See, we had very different lives when we were 14. You're just consumed with rage at the clergy, and I was watching Orgazmo.
Yeah, it really speaks volumes to our upbringings, doesn't it? Oh, man. Anyway, he tells her it's Death of a fucking Salesman that he's in. Not Death of a fucking Salesman.
That would be a good porno.
That was the next line I wrote, is that would be an excellent porno. Isaac, write that down.
Can we start making porn now? Are we old enough?
I want to. We talk about it in these episodes all the time and have yet to do it.
Oh, God. I started writing erotica a few months ago.
Really?
Yeah. So it's somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but the one I have in my head and need to finish is called The Fireman Werewolf That Ravaged My Teenage Backdoor.
Oh, so you're going like, what's that guy who writes those books on Amazon?
Chuck Tingle.
Chuck Tingle. That's right. You're going the Chuck Tingle route, huh?
Yeah.
It's like having sex with my ass with my own ass. I don't know. There's some really crazy.
Yeah, that was one of his famous ones.
Oh, man. That's
get nice and weird with it.
If you send me that, I promise not to jerk off to it.
It's going to be hot. I mean, it's also, homosexual erotica.
Well, then then you're fine. Then I definitely promise not to jerk off to it. He says.
Okay. I feel like a 12-inch furry werewolf penis unfurling into an 18-year-old boy's ass. Man's ass, sorry.
No, good catch there, Epstein. Yeah, no, anytime there's werewolves involved, it's instantly flaccid. I have no interest. None at all.
What if the werewolf is shorn? Would that help?
That is just a person. It's just a man. Or a woman.
Okay, I'll go back to the drawing board.
Thank you. Yeah,
I'm going to get you off.
and record. So Parker and his fiance end every phone call with "Jesus and I love you," which I could hear Isaac's stupid donkey brain chuckle every time they said it.
Yeah.
After the call, Parker prays to his statuetted Jesus and I quote, send him a sign that he shouldn't do the porn. An earthquake strikes, knocking out most of his dishes and destroying the Jesus statue's head. After this, Parker looks at the statue and says, any sign at all. All right, Early, I'll give you that one. I smirked.
Yes.
Cut to the set of Orgazmo. Parker shows up and the scuzzy director sends him off to get into costume. We meet Orgazmo's sidekick, Chota Boy. Isaac, care to explain why that's funny?
I actually don't know. I was wondering that, and I didn't look it up because I'm lazy.
Chode is... Oh, okay. By the way, we're currently recording on the 4th of July, so you may be hearing fireworks in the background of my recording because I live in just hell. So there's been fireworks nonstop for the last 3 weeks. And also, my dog is in here with me, and the only thing that scares him more than thunder is fireworks. So if you hear a single gunshot, it's my dog killing himself.
Fair enough.
I believe a chode is a small, fat penis, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, right.
But yes. Chota Boy. He's a
small man.
He is. He's played by a man just slightly larger than a dwarf who has a utility belt of various sex toys. I will only call him Chota Boy because Isaac keeps giving me movies that are movies within movies, so characters have multiple names, and I'm just not doing it anymore. I'm just not doing it. You go fuck yourself. So Chota Boy will be his only name, and you can watch the goddamn movie yourself if you want to see what his real fucking name is, and suck my dick. Chota Boy explains the plot to Parker and also tells Parker that in addition to being a porn star, he has 2 PhDs from MIT, because sure, why not? Why fucking not? He explains that he doesn't get a lot of action from women, that is a direct quote, as they don't seem to take him very seriously. He says this while strapping on a helmet that has a dildo sticking straight out from the top of it, to which Parker says, "You don't say." Again, I chuckled. Good joke. After this, we get a scene where the male actors all talk about shaving their balls, which is not at all clever, in fact. Scuzzy Director also gives Parker his porn name, which is Tom Hung. So.
Clever.
Yeah. What? How many stars out of 10 would you give this movie, Isaac?
7.
Woo! Woo! Wowza! All right, so we're on to the porn scene. The director describes the scene to everyone. He mentions to Parker that while he won't have to do any penetration, he still has to act in the scene, to Parker's dismay. In the cameraman's area, we see cameraman Matt Stone freaking out with joy at the prospect of porn about to happen. So I think the whole reason they had this Matt Stone character in there is because there was different versions of this movie. Like we said, there was like an unrated version that had more titties. And I believe to mask the titties, what they do is they instead cut to like Matt Stone at the camera, like freaking out because he's getting to watch people fuck. Because they do that a lot. There's a lot of scenes where like the shitty porn music starts and it cuts to Matt Stone making like a tool face, which I know it's an audio medium and you couldn't see that, but hopefully that noise gave you the exact description of what his stupid face looks like. So yeah, I think that in the naughtier versions, instead of his face, it's just titties. So, I don't know. This movie just pretty much only has that scene in the beginning where you see like a second of a topless woman before a man's ass appears on screen. I don't think there's any more female nudity at this point. There's a lot of man ass.
I don't think,
but
yeah, there's a lot of very scantily clad women.
Sure, but I mean, there's nothing like version. That's you could get away with that on like the 69 News.
Right.
Let me distinguish. The 69 News is an actual thing in the area I live. I don't know how all these years it's still going, but that's like it's something you have in the local news. Let me say, I'm not making a funny joke. The 69 News is actually a thing here. I do not understand it.
We have to do a newscaster porno now.
Those exist, and I have masturbated to them. So the sex scene starts, and I'll spare you the dialogue. The cheesy sex scene music starts up as well. Anytime we get the cheesy sex scene music starts up, which we get anytime there's implied sex, and it is the worst. It is the worst.
I can hear it in my head.
Yeah, pretty bad, huh?
No, it's great. It's exactly what it needs to be.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm going to pull the camera. I want to see your face as you tell me these lies.
Your standard porno music.
No, porno music is better than this.
Well, old school porno music.
Even
New
old school porno music is better than this.
Nah, come on. You aren't listening to the right pornos.
Clearly not. So, Orgazmo and Chota Boy burst through the wall. Please recall now that Orgazmo and Parker are the same person. Parker is so caught up with the sight of Ron Jeremy's massive cock, and it is indeed massive, that he just stands there and stares with his mouth agape. Ron Jeremy's accused of raping 3 women. Jizzmaster Zero shouts that Orgazmo can't stop him. Orgazmo says, "Yes, I can, with my Orgasmorator," which, as you may remember, is a gun that shoots orgasms. And by gun, I mean it's a cardboard prop that probably cost them $8 to make. This is important, as we'll see later. By the way, Parker's voice for Orgazmo is basically just Stan's dad from South Park. Isaac, can you confirm that I'm right there?
That seems correct.
Yeah, I think my base level South Park knowledge, I believe that's who he's imitating there. He's also like 50 other voices on fucking South Park, so it's probably Stan's dad is the closest. Orgazmo shoots Jizzmaster Zero, and there's a crappy, awful fight scene with Jizzmaster Zero's 2 goons. Then the porn part begins as Parker looks very uncomfortable while a topless woman is kissing down his chest to his dick. As her mouth is mere millimeters away from his dick, Scuzzy Director shouts, "Cut! Stunt cock!" And a call of "Stunt cock" goes across the set, and that is almost my favorite part of the whole movie. Just for some reason, like, the chain call, like, getting farther away down the set of people just calling stunt cock is pretty funny. It's clever enough that just, like, I like that that's the clarion call that goes out. So anyway, the stunt cock comes in, licks his fingers, and smacks his ass, because that's what comedy is, and takes Parker's place in the porn while Parker walks off set. He is accosted by cameraman Matt Stone, who says, and I quote, "I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing, but I think unicorns are kick-ass. Isaac, explain why that's funny."
'Cause repressed gay people are funny, I guess. Some of these things are a little dated, because this movie was made 23 years ago. But, yeah. But he comes around. You'll see. He's got a trajectory as a character.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I thought it seemed kind of like Ginsberg's Howl. That's the closest thing I could think of it. The long form beat poetry. Kind of just the same vibe.
I can't wait until when you're fucking president and when you're brought up on charges in front of the Senate. I can't wait until they play this recording.
I got 4 more years.
Oh, God. Here we go. Here's where we're going to fight. Audience, this is where Isaac and I are going to start yelling at each other. So, cut to Parker reading the Mormon Bible when a female actress comes up to talk to him. Parker tries to explain the Book of Mormon, which is nonsensical, to her when she begins telling him about her specialty in disgusting detail. Her specialty is DVDA. Isaac, please tell the lovely people what DVDA is.
That would be double vaginal, double anal.
Isaac, how many years have you and I been arguing about this?
10?
I said it's accurate. Double vaginal, double anal is an impossible sex act.
We have spent a lot of time with a lot of different people trying to suss this out.
And don't be fooled. When he says a lot of time, literal hours of argument. Literal hours of my life has been wasted.
Wrestling action figures at one point, courtesy of our friend Randy.
Yes.
To try to develop a way where 4 men could be positioned around the groin of a single woman, and it didn't go too well. But I think we tried to find a lot of pictures of it, and that came out dry.
Exist because it's not real.
You would have to have 2 very long-cocked men and 2 dwarves.
Josh is convinced it involves limbless men.
That's a possibility, too.
I'm just telling you, look, we've used the action figures. I've mapped this out for you fucking idiots. Every idiot I've ever met in my life who's tried to tell me that this is a potential thing. It is not possible to get 4 male torsos around a woman's genital region to penetrate her 4 times. It's just impossible.
You're not a believer.
It's not a thing. It's not about believing.
Someone has fucked a cheesesteak.
I'm fine to see that someone has fucked a cheesesteak if you'll give me DVDA. That's impossible. Look, Isaac.
It's impossible because you don't have a vagina.
It's just like with God, okay? I'll believe it the second you give me some fucking empirical evidence. You show me a single picture, a not doctored picture. In fact, I want to see a video because I want to make sure you're not doctoring it, of double vaginal, double anal before I ever believe that it's a real thing.
Right. Okay.
All right?
I'll have to hit the internet again.
Yeah, good luck. Let's see if the last 10 years of anything's fucking if they've improved, that technology exists now. And that's also the name of Parker and Stone's shitty band because they're geniuses, quote unquote geniuses.
Awesome band, but yeah.
Now you're a man. Wait, let me get the lyrics up. Hold on.
A manly manny man.
Hold on. Yeah. Now you're a man. Now you're a man. Now you're a man, man.
Social commentary, Larry.
On what?
Gender.
Okay.
And expectations placed upon men.
7 out of 10.
Yep, 7.5.
Yeah. We get the shitty porn music while this woman does DVDA. She mentions that it's the only thing that a woman as old as her is the only reason she still gets work, and this makes Parker throw up. Next scene, I gotta push through this because this is going slower than I thought. We get Parker and Chota Boy, who are no longer in costume, at a sushi joint. The owner, an Asian man named G Fresh, befriends Chota Boy and Parker as some goons come in, demanding G Fresh sign a contract selling his restaurant to the club owner next door. G-Fresh refuses to sell, so the goons smash up the place in retaliation. Parker asks if they should call the police. The girls, which, by the way, there's 2 of the porn girls there, but I don't really think they matter. One of them has a line, but they don't really. I think her name's Gina, but the other one doesn't even get a name and no lines.
Yeah.
So the girls say the police won't help. They ask if he's from Iowa or something. He says no, Utah, and they apologize, which is a running joke that will persist. Again, if they like to poke fun at the Mormons. All right, so next day on set, we see a scene being shot where Orgazmo is lying down on a bed while a blonde woman with massive boobs is riding his chest. Behind her, Chota Boy basically rides on Parker's dick, question mark there, but whatever. They're getting fresh when she cries, ring the bell, and we get fucking bell ringing noises for some reason. I don't know. Because I guess Trey Parker bought a wicked cool soundboard for the movie at a fucking garage sale or something. I don't care. So Orgazmo's just lying there. Scuzzy director demands that Parker at least pretend to enjoy it by rubbing the woman's breasts. He protests, but Chota Boy says, oh, don't worry, they're not real. So Parker rubs them. 2 goons burst in and act poorly. There's another ridiculous fight scene here where Chota Boy shoots a rope out of a dildo that ties the 2 up, which, as we'll learn, is Chekhov's cock, because we'll be seeing it again. So to celebrate, big-tittied actress tries to take off her top, but trips and does a backflip off the bed because her joke is that she's clumsy, even though she's really not important to the rest of the movie, so I don't know. After the shoot, Chota Boy takes Parker to his house. Chota Boy has a gigantic hose, which is what I typed because I can't type, including a big laboratory, which he pays for with his many patents. His patents, which are the patents for the inventions he makes, his patents for inventions that he makes when he's not doing porn, the inventions he makes in the laboratory he has beneath his house, which he paid for with the patents from the inventions from the laboratory. So, Parker examines a small Catholic-esque shrine that Chota Boy has with a little wooden panel that has a picture of a hamster on it surrounded by candles. We get the story of Chota Boy gravely talking about hamster style. And I have to admit, I love the hamster style story. So
it's pretty great.
It's really, this is like I said, these guys are clever. So he's like, Chota Boy's like looking gravely at this little altar, and he's like, I guess I never told you about hamster style. And he talks about how he doesn't do hamster style anymore, which is supposed to be like a type of kung fu or whatever. He talks about how he doesn't do it anymore, and Parker has to like coax him into talking about it, and he flashes back to his childhood where Chota Boy is sitting at the kitchen table eating from a weirdly gigantic bowl of cereal. It's like bigger than his fucking head. I don't understand it. And he says to his father, he says, hey, Dad, I don't think I want to do hamster style anymore. And the dad says, oh, that's nice, son. And then it cuts away. And that's the reason he doesn't do hamster style anymore, which is exceptionally clever. I really enjoyed that.
Yes. And the child version is just played by him, right?
No, that's
Both
later
times
on.
it comes up?
That's later on.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Oh, sorry, buddy. I know there's fireworks. Don't kill yourself. So, yeah. Anyway, I want to hate everything about this movie, but that story made me laugh out loud. Very funny.
I'm glad you got one, at least.
There was a couple. In the lab, Chota Boy shows Parker his new invention. It's a real-life Orgazmorator. And it basically just looks like a steampunk arm gun sort of thing, kind of. It just looks like a big, dumb arm laser. Chota Boy tells him the Orgazmorator is too heavy for him to use. Oh, very burpy. Parker, however, is strong enough to hold it. They test it out, and Parker fires a shot at Chota Boy, who has an orgasm, because now they have a real-life orgasm ray. When it fires, it makes a loud comedy honking noise, because Trey Parker has been described to me as a genius. By our very own Isaac Early, no less, has described him as a genius.
He is a genius.
In their great haste to make fun of the Mormons, Trey Parker and Matt Stone must have missed the section where masturbation is reprehensible sin to the Mormons, a fact which comes up at no point during this movie, despite Parker shooting himself at least once with the Orgazmorator. So, good job doing your homework there, fellas.
Well, come on. You're being unfair.
I'm being unfair.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
There's creative licenses that come with
there?
Brilliant creativity.
Yeah. Let me just mark this down. About almost 51 minutes into this episode. Got it. Because I'll be referring to this clip again next time you're bitching about something stupid. Chota Boy takes Parker around town, shooting various people with the Orgazmorator, including 2 random women, a pair of Orthodox Jews, cameraman Matt Stone, an old woman with a walker, and a cop performing an arrest. Parker looks supremely uncomfortable at the sexual assaults he's performing on the street, but complies with Chota Boy, who is laughing like an idiot the entire time. Isaac, why is this scene funny?
Because you get to see people have orgasms when they're not expecting to have orgasms, and it's funny.
How old are you again?
14.
Okay, I see. Excellent. That's good to know. So back to the fucking porno set, because that's where things make sense. Scuzzy Director explains to Parker that he will be in a solo scene with a woman called T-Rex. T-Rex emerges and turns out to be a massively overweight woman, a gigantic behemoth of a woman, in fact, who proceeds to mount Parker and gyrate on him. And for T-Rex's voice, they dub over Parker's own voice, because his quote-unquote fat, ugly woman voice is much funnier than the actress's voice they got to play T-Rex. Once again, need I say anything more?
Cultural appropriation?
Little bit, yeah. So as T-Rex is atop Parker, shouting at Parker in his own voice, demanding that he fudges her right now, quotes, we see Parker flash back to his regular normal life with his fiancée, doing regular Mormon things like singing in choir and drinking milk and rolling around in a field. So the porno is over. It's been fully filmed. Cameraman Matt Stone gathers everyone together for a group shot where he says, and I quote, I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing, but I'm really gonna miss you guys when this show's over. We see the DVD production of Orgazmo happening as DVDs are shipped out. We get a montage here. We see spinning magazine covers showing that it's a huge hit, and lines at theaters for Orgazmo are getting longer and longer. Parker keeps calling to the director because he still hasn't gotten his money yet. The nation has Orgazmo Mania. We get toys. They're on the cover of Time magazine. They're on E! News. They win AVN awards, which are basically porn awards, etc., etc. A newspaper proclaims that Orgazmo is the third highest grossing film of all time, which is just, yep, sure. The same newspaper also tells us that Scuzzy Director is throwing an Orgazmo success party. We then cut to that party where we see that the same mansion, like the establishing shot of the mansion the porno is filmed in, we see the same shot except they fucking taped 3 balloons to the front of it. So, yep, definitely a lot of budget on this one. So the success party features a stoic mariachi band performing songs in Spanish, traditional mariachi songs. They're nude. So we get to see their butts because man's butts are funny.
I agree.
Yes, I'm sure you do. Chota Boy runs into Georgie, the clumsy lady porn star from earlier, who has had a breast enhancement since last we saw her. She, quote, now has enough silicone in her body to kill a small elephant. Movie's line, not mine. Anyway, Parker is here to collect his money from Scuzzy Director. However, he runs into cameraman Matt Stone. Stone mentions that the naked mariachi band sounds like Depeche Mode. He says, quote, I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing, but I think Depeche Mode is a sweet band. While the party rages on, we see G-Fresh once again accosted by the goons from earlier. They proceed to beat the hell out of him, often featuring them throwing an obvious dummy around through walls, into windows, etc. So, let's talk about the budget. So, I hate low-budget films. And here's why. There becomes a point, and it's especially prevalent in, like, Trauma, which, if we haven't talked about before, I don't have the strength to talk about Trauma and Orgazmo on the same day. We'll get to it later. There's a point where, in low-budget movies, the small amount of money they have becomes a character in the movie.
Where that's a good way to put it.
Where they are like, the filmmaker's just like, well, I have $100 to shoot this scene, and it's a scene that, like, in a real movie would cost $12,000. So let's lean in, and instead of $100, let's shoot it for 45 cents. And then that way, the low budgetness becomes a piece of the movie. Now, I'll be fair that this movie is not as bad. This is the worst part of it, where they're like, are obviously beating up a dummy. Well, we'll get to it later on with Ron Jeremy gets his head literally kicked off his body. But it's a trait that, like, all low budget movies share, and I just don't think it makes for it. Like, it cheapens your work, you know. I don't know. There's people who disagree with me because it's sort of like a cult thing to love that sort of feature, and I just don't. I think it's like, I don't know. It seems really easy to do, to like make the fact that you have no money a funny part of the movie, but I don't know. Apparently, it's one of those time-honored movie things that I just don't understand. I don't like it. I don't think it needs to be around, especially in the 90s when you had, like, you know, Ed Wood with Plan 9 from Outer Space and shit like that back in the day in the 60s and whatnot. Earlier than that, even. Just, like, I don't know. Can we get away from that, please? For the love of God.
You are an elitist, good sir.
I guess, but I just don't... I don't like that. It's just dumb. It's just dumb.
It can work. I don't have any problem with it.
I don't know. I can't think of any examples where it does work. But
it's never great, but like if you need, like, if your budget is prohibitively small to do certain things that you kind of need to do, then I think it's better to lean into it like you're describing than like try to make it look okay, but it's still not going to look okay.
I don't know. It's a tough call. I just don't think... I feel like leaning into it is the easy choice. You know, I feel like leaning into it is the, well, fuck it choice, rather than I feel like I would appreciate it more if they tried harder. Well, now I have to say, I like coffee. I love coffee. Coffee is the thing that fuels me and keeps me going. So even though I hate the fact that low-budget movies, the low budget becomes a character, I love that there's coffee in my life.
You just advertising coffee?
I'm running out of... I said I was gonna buttress things I hate with things that I love.
Oh, right.
I'm already running out.
I forgot you were capable of love.
Allegedly. All right. So Parker finds the director and gets the rest of his money. Scuzzy director browbeats Parker into doing Orgazmo 2 by offering him double what he got paid the first time. He reluctantly agrees because, again, money is more important than God, a fact which is actually true. Next day, Parker's fiancée Lisa calls and Parker tells her the news. She's excited about the money. It's dumb. Jesus and I love you, Isaac. Back to the porn, which is the only thing that makes sense. Parker runs into the new villain of Orgazmo 2. This is like before he's on set, this is. The new villain is a juiced-up asshole martial artist who shouts "Kia!" and shit like that way too much while he's doing martial arts poses, because, again, This is what comedy is. His gimmick is that he's a swaggering jerk who thinks very little of Parker. Oh, and he farts a lot, too, because farts are funny. His character in the movie is Neutered Man. He has no balls, so Orgazmo's ray won't work on him. This will be important later, please recall. We get to the filming of a scene where Orgazmo and Chota Boy try to fight Neutered Man, but find the Orgasmerator doesn't work as he has no balls. The sex scene starts not before Chota Boy licks his fingers and slaps his ass, which I hope any self-respecting sexual partner I ever have would immediately ask me to leave if I should ever do such a thing.
I'm going to have to start doing that.
Kate, if you're listening, please leave your husband if he ever does that. Hobble down the stairs and escape. Don't call me, because I'm not allowed in New Jersey anymore. So as the scene progresses, the clarion call for stunt cock goes out, and a large black man lazily slaps his ass before taking Parker's place in the scene. Only the director seems to notice that the stunt cock is black while Parker is white. The black stunt cock is the only person of color in this entire movie.
It's progressive.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, what? No, let me close my review and let's just talk about that for the next hour.
Most of the characters don't see race. It's not an issue that a black man is taking a white man's place. They're completely okay with it.
Wow. Sticking to that one, huh?
Yep.
All right.
And the cameraman's coming of queer story it's beautiful.
Oh, is that so?
Yes. Very. I'm not gay myself, but I feel like I would have connected emotionally to that character as a 14-year-old if I was discovering my own sexuality.
You are a fascinating, horrible man. And while Parker is standing off to the side, cameraman Matt Stone comes over and asks if the Orgazmo suit is new for this movie. He then says, quote, "I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing, but I think you've got a really nice ass. Isaac, explain why that's funny. Oh, wait, don't bother. I don't care." Back at G-Fresh Sushi. Parker and Chota Boy come in for sushi, but G-Fresh sadly tells them that the punks forced them to sign the contract. Chota Boy wants to help G-Fresh by retrieving the contract, but Parker wisely says that the goons have guns, and martial arts don't stop guns. Chota Boy persists, trying to coax Parker into helping by saying they can use the Orgazmo and disguise themselves. The real-life Orgazmo, by the way. They have a gun that gives people orgasms, in case you forgot. He then points out how sad G-Fresh is, saying that there is nothing sadder than a sad Japanese man. I don't even know what to say to that. So we cut to the club. Parker and Chota Boy are dressed up in ridiculous gear to disguise their identity. Parker has the real-life Orgazmo on his arm, so he looks even dumber than normal. The two sneak to the employee-only area of the club, where they break in using a ridiculous dildo-based exploding lockpick. Just 4 words I never thought I'd say in succession. They confront the goons, and a fight scene ensues between Parker, Chota Boy, and the 3 thugs. I'll spare you the details because it isn't funny. It's a low-budget comedy fight scene with orgasms, so there you go. Eventually, Parker gets a gun drawn on his face, and Chota Boy uses Chekhov's cock to tie up the goon's feet to throw him off balance. They grab the contract and smack one of the goons around with a dildo before escaping into the club, because again, that is what comedy is.
Agreed.
The goons give chase. Parker fights a security guard while Chota Boy slaps a woman on the ass with comedy slapping sounds, all while shitty Sega Genesis-esque music plays over top the whole scene. Kids, the Sega Genesis was a game console from the early to mid-90s that had kick-ass music for video games, but bad music for movies. So the heroes are driving away. Chota Boy is pumped up about their success, but Parker is horrified by the fact that he almost got shot in the face. Very reasonably so, I would say. At his apartment, he is surprised by his fiancée, Lisa, who has shown up to support Parker while he films. She is very excited to see him, but he is, of course, horrified as he is currently filming a pornographic feature as a Mormon, a fiancéed up Mormon. She begins to unpack while he hides all his porn paraphernalia. She wants to come see him on set, but he talks her down. Back on the porn set, oh my god, Neutered Man, the kung fu jerk, is warming up. People walk by him saying hello, and he says fuck you to each of them. As the last man walks by, Neutered Man orders him to come back. The man then puts his head by Neutered Man's ass, who farts in the stranger's face. Isaac, why is this funny?
Farts are funny.
You're gonna commit to that, huh?
Farts are funny.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
I have gotten many a chuckle out of a fart.
I cannot wait until we're on episode 145 and you say how much you hate fart jokes. I am going to play this clip off of my phone, which will be implanted in my skull by then.
I love farts. It's
right.
basically the only thing my wife and I bond over.
Wow. Jesus Christ, that makes a lot of sense. We get some throwaway scenes before we see Neutered Man trying to sexually assault Georgie, the clumsy lady porn star. Parker intervenes and the two begin to fight before the director breaks it up. We get his oft-used line of threatening them that he will make them sleep with the fishes. And there's also a brief scene with Chota Dog, a one-off gag that never returns, featuring a dog with a dildo strapped to his head. You just, I have, because I know you love this movie, I have at various points in my script just parts that say, wait for Isaac to laugh. And for all but one of them, you have acquiesced.
Ah, damn it.
All right, so Parker's fiancée, Lisa, is in a Blockbuster video or something. Kids, Blockbuster was a video movie. You could go there to rent movies back in the days when you rented movies. She's looking through a bunch of VHS tapes. Remember, this is in the 90s. Kids, VHS tapes were the thing that came before DVDs, which are the thing that came before Blu-rays. I think Blu-rays is still pretty current, so whatever.
Yeah, no one owns physical media.
You do. You own tons of physical media.
I don't buy new...
own more physical media than anyone I know, in fact.
I don't buy new physical media.
That's true, but you do own it.
Yeah, that's true.
So she's looking through VHS tapes of Jesus-based movies, humorously including, and I do like these gags, Jesus Scissorhands, Pulp Jesus, Raging Jesus, and my personal favorite, The Good, the Bad, and the Jesus, which is a great gag.
Yes, that is pretty good.
While Lisa is looking at films, a TV nearby is playing Orgazmo 1, and she recognizes Parker's voice. She asks the clerk what movie this is. He asks if she's been living in a cardboard box, to which she says, no, I've been living in Utah, to which he apologizes.
I get it.
On the set of Orgazmo 2, Parker is tied to a bed. while Scuzzy Director introduces the next two female co-stars, a pair of Japanese porn stars named Nasuko and Haruko. They are known as the Ass Fuck Twins. Trademark. Scuzzy Director wants Parker to say the line about them being called the Ass Fuck Twins. He doesn't want to curse, so he argues with Scuzzy Director about it before being forced to say it, which he does very quickly. The director's patience is growing very thin, we realize here, so he's pushing Parker and everybody else around. Chota Boy arrives on the scene to save Orgazmo, who he has, and I quote, a cock rocket. A cock rocket, which is an exploding rocket dildo he affixes to his crotch before firing it. It fires off scene very unimpressively, which pisses off Scuzzy Director, who screams at Chota Boy to make a better one. The boys are complaining as they get dressed to leave when my old friend, cameraman Matt Stone, arrives to inform Parker that, quote, I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing, but I'd kind of like to make love to you tonight. Enough said.
See, he's slowly coming out. He's feeling comfortable in his sexuality. It's a beautiful story.
I'm just gonna let the silence hang for that one. When Chota Boy leaves, he bumps into the goons who beat up G-Fresh. That means that Scuzzy Director is the one behind the plot to steal the sushi restaurant. Oh, shock and alarum. Parker arrives home to find Lisa watching Orgazmo. The two fight, as Lisa is obviously upset her fiancé is acting at a porno behind her back. Reasonable. He describes the stunt cock deal, but she's still upset about the fact he does the groping of the breasts. The groping of the breasts! Anyway, she chews him out, and he pushes back at her because he's a quote-unquote good actor, and this is the only way he knows how to make money, so she leaves him. We get a weird scene here with a dude in Scuzzy Director's office that keeps saying, I am Sancho. I don't care. Ultimately, it leads nowhere, so I don't bother with it. Isaac, of course, loved it because he is a Philistine.
I am Sancho.
Yep, that's the whole bit. That's the whole fucking joke.
Dude, say it again. Sancho?
Say it again.
No, I am Sancho.
Yeah, there are many Toms in this world. There's many Harrys in this world. But who am I? I am Sancho. That's the joke.
It's hilarious.
Idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're surrounded by idiots, and you like things made by idiots.
Yeah.
Parker bursts into the office and tries to quit because he has become disillusioned and disgusted with his life. Scuzzy Director tells Parker that he can fuck off, and regardless of the contract, Parker is going to be making Orgazmo films as long as Scuzzy says so. Otherwise, Parker will be sleeping with the fishes. Parker stands up to Scuzzy Director, and several goons, led by Ron Jeremy and Noodle Man, come in to harass him, but Scuzzy ultimately lets Parker go free. Instead, he sends those goons to kidnap Lisa, who has gone back to Parker's apartment to try and make up with him. Oh my god, we're almost done, kids. So Parker goes to Chota Boy's house to say goodbye. Chota tells him about the goons messing up G-Fresh and how they need to stop Scuzzy Director. Parker refuses, and the two of them argue about it. Parker says he's not a hero, he's just a Latter-day Saint, which is the real thing that Mormons prefer to be called. When Parker goes back to his apartment, he gets a phone call from Scuzzy, who has Lisa captured. He makes more threats, demanding that Parker be back on set in the morning. Scuzzy Director then gets the brilliant idea of putting Lisa on the set to have one of his goons rape her and film it as a quote-unquote collateral for something. Isaac, why is that funny?
That one is not so cool.
Doesn't hold up, huh?
I mean, you need a villain.
You do need... He definitely makes him into more of a villain than he was.
Yeah. I don't know if it's supposed to be funny so much as it's, just establishing he is a villain who deserves to be orgasmed to death.
It's true, and he is. We've talked about rape in movies before, so I'm not going to get into it in depth. You can listen to our back catalog for the way we feel about it. But whatever. It's dumb, stupid, doesn't belong. So
we're anti-rape.
We are.
Want to clarify.
Yes, very much so.
It's pretty bad.
The goons are tying up Lisa on the bed. She calls Scuzzy a pig for degrading all these women. The two goons, one of whom is Ron Jeremy, gives a speech about how porn is degrading to men as well as women, and then try to be clever for a minute, but it doesn't matter. Ron Jeremy has been accused of raping 3 women. Lisa says that Jesus will bring Scuzzy Director down, but he tells her if Jesus is going to bring him down, I'll need a lot of help. Man, it is hot in this room. I'm very upset.
You look like you could use an orgasm, Larry. He's just gone off for a quick wink. He'll be back.
I just took a big sip of coffee, which is one of my only loves. It's not good. It does not help make me feel any less hot. So Parker goes back to Chota Boy's house. He enlists Chota in his quest to free Lisa, and they suit up in their crime-fighting gear to go save the day. This includes the gun that gives people orgasms as well as the tool belt full of sex toys. Not a sentence I ever thought I'd write, much less say aloud. They run outside, and Chota Boy says, "Quick, to the Orgazmobile!" Parker says, "What?" And Chota says heroically, "My Buick Century!" Which, to be fair, also made me chuckle.
Indeed.
So our heroes speed to the scene of the porn set. Meanwhile, Scuzzy Director begins to shoot the rape scene. Outside the wall of the mansion, Chota Boy fires a grappling hook over the wall. Isaac, what is the grappling hook made of?
A dildo.
Why is that funny?
Because dildos are funny, especially when they're used for things that aren't dildo-y.
That joke was going to be funnier when you hadn't seen the movie in a couple of years, not like 6 hours ago. But whatever. So we get back and forth between the heroes breaking in and the rape scene. A dog attacks Parker, so he shoots it with the Orgazmorator. In response, it begins humping his leg, because that's how comedy works. So they get inside and run into Ron Jeremy and the goon whose ass we keep seeing in the porn shots, but he's just nameless goon number 1. Who cares? Parker fights him, while Jeremy fights Chota Boy. Chota Boy is losing to Jeremy, who is a master of John Kwang Do, which, frankly, is a joke that I genuinely do not understand.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't understand. It does. I looked up John Kwang and see if that was anything, but I assume it means his dick. Like John Kwang. I don't know, but it's something funny to somebody who's not me, because that is. Ugh.
They would use dong in there.
You'd think,
that would make
right?
More sense.
John Dong Do would be funnier than Kwang.
Long dong do.
That sounded like oh shit, what's that movie that Better Off Dead? Long Duck Dong. That's a great movie. See, there's something I love. I love Better Off Dead. $2. Eventually, the heroes get the better of them after Parker manages to shoot Jeremy with the Orgazmorator. He then lands a flying kick into Jeremy's head, where we see a close-up of a foot destroying a poorly done ceramic bust of Ron Jeremy's head, as if he kicked his head literally into pieces and off his body. Folks, Isaac loves this movie.
7.5 stars.
It's going up. He loves this movie. So Parker and Chota Boy arrive on the sex set. Despite the fact that the heroes' disguises are no more complex than a face mask for Parker and a pair of goggles for Chota Boy, nobody recognizes them, because of course not. Scuzzy Director sets his crew on them, all of whom are apparently martial artists, and we have another comedy fight scene here. After beating up some goons, Parker and Chota Boy end up both fighting Neutered Man. Neutered Man farts on his hand and throws it into Chota Boy's face. Let's recall Isaac loves this movie and loves fart jokes. And then Neutered Man beats the hell out of Chota Boy. Parker calls for Chota Boy to do hamster style, if you recall from earlier in the movie. We see a flashback to Chota Boy and his father, this time with adult Chota Boy instead of himself as a child, which, again, I thought was funny. But then they immediately ruin it, because he then uses the hamster style, which is just him acting like a hamster.
Yeah, it's great.
It's dumb. It's
hilarious.
He puts his arms up to his face and like chitters around and bites Neutered Man's arm, and then like he and Neutered Man like fall off out of the shot, and we just see a bunch of like ripped up clothes fly off screen. And when we cut back in, Neutered Man just had his clothes all ripped up by the hamster style.
It's hilarious.
Great setup. It's a 7 out of 10 setup, a 0 out of 10 delivery. So with all their villains defeated, it's down to just our heroes and Scuzzy Director. Scuzzy had Lisa by the throat with a knife. I don't know why I wrote had. Parker tries to shoot Scuzzy with the Orgazmorator, but they're out of battery power, so it fails. Scuzzy gives his grand evil speech full of the same cliche lines he's been doing this entire movie, but behind their back, Chota Boy strips a wire from a lamp and crams it into the Orgazmorator, which overcharges it. Parker continuously shoots Scuzzy Director with it as he falls backwards out of the house and eventually into the pool, having orgasm after orgasm after orgasm. Isaac loves this movie. So Parker rescues Lisa. She forgives him for his wrongdoings and they make up. Chota Boy handcuffs all the goons together with fuzzy handcuffs because sex, and leads them out. As everyone stands in the yard, Chota Boy reveals that he did what Scuzzy Director asked him. He made a more powerful cock rocket. After affixing a massive plastic cock to his crotch, Chota Boy screams "cock rocket" at the top of his lungs before firing it into the mansion, which explodes into a gigantic fireball. Of course, since the low-budget aspect of this movie is quote-unquote what makes it so funny, the burning house is just a crude model of the real mansion. Oh, and by the way, Ron Jeremy is alive, so I guess his head didn't explode or whatever. Fuck you, Trey Parker. Our heroes leave the goons in the yard as the police show up. All right, last scene. Parker is packing up to leave L.A. when he is met by Chota Boy and some of the porn girls and G-Fresh. They have a tearful farewell where when Lisa relents and tells Parker that they should stay in L.A. and continue to fight crime as a team. Everyone celebrates and hugs one another in celebration. In the midst of the celebration, Parker wanders away to thumbs up somebody off screen, and we cut over to see that it's the ghostly form of Jesus giving him a thumbs up back. Jesus is a Jedi Master.
Yeah.
Our final scene, we see Scuzzy Director at the doctor's office getting his balls examined. The doctor says that Scuzzy's balls have swollen so much they'll have to amputate his cock. Scuzzy begins laughing maniacally as he says he has Parker now because he's going to have to meet up with Neutered Man, but like a real version of Neutered Man. So I guess we'll see that in Orgazmo 2, which is coming.
I've been waiting for the sequel. It's got to be soon.
Yeah. When did this movie come out? 1998?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, keep waiting. The Doctor is played by Lloyd Kaufman, the father of Troma, which is possibly the worst production company to ever exist. We'll talk about it in another episode. And if that isn't the wrap-up I fucking deserve, I don't know what is. This is the penance for my sins.
We got to get some Troma back in our lives.
No. I refuse. I cannot talk about Orgazmo and Troma on the same day. My head will explode.
Well, I'm so glad you've gotten to watch Orgazmo 3 times now in your life.
3 times in my life I've seen this stupid movie. All thanks to you. You were responsible for all 3 of them.
Now I have to figure out how to get you to watch it again at some point. It
occurs to me, Isaac, that in the whole of my life, there's of all the people I've been close to, there is maybe 3 people that I can say I've never actually been angry with. And you are one of them. I hate to make me watch this shit, and we call each other awful names in this podcast, but I've never actually been angry with you. But if I had to pick the thing that I hated the most about our relationship, it's the fact that I keep having to watch this fucking movie. I'm glad this is the last time, because I will never watch it again. I refuse.
That's my other goal. I have a few goals now, but one of them is to make you watch this again. Somehow.
You're going to have to... It's going to involve violence, because that's the only way that's going to make me watch this again.
What about just the threat of violence?
I own a hatchet.
Kidnap someone you love.
I own a hatchet, and I'm not afraid to use it.
Yeah, but I kidnap them and make you watch Orgazmo while I watch you watching Orgazmo remotely. Yeah, it'll work.
You're like a shitty Batman villain. You're like the Batman villain that Batman beats up on the way to the Riddler. You're like the Riddler's shitty protege.
All right, well, I just have to get more evil.
Good luck.
I'll set fireworks off outside your apartment every day and make your dog kill himself.
As if on cue, one just shot off and he's literally cowering. Like a big 75-pound baby. Poor bastard.
Oh, man, I didn't need that image. 75-pound baby curled up at the foot of your desk. That's horrifying.
He is so scared. He's like trying to get under the bed, which he cannot fit under. Yeah, it's awful. I hate fireworks, but I love the dog. Fuck, it's like the 2 things I love. Shit, fuck.
I'll kidnap your dog and your coffee.
Don't do either of those things. All right, so my final thoughts on this movie, like I said, like my review pretty much said for itself. This movie sucks, but it does have its points of cleverness. There's some things I did laugh at. I love the hamster style setup to why he doesn't use it anymore. That is a fantastic joke. Very well done. It does not hold up very well anymore, regardless of what Isaac says. It's not. I'll give it credit. It's not as ooh, shouldn't have said that as I thought it would be. Because I didn't really remember a lot of the. I remember before I watched it for the show, I remembered a lot of the big sweeping parts of it, but not like the particulars. I thought it would be more not politically correct, let's say. But it's not as bad as I thought, really, honestly. So that was kind of a surprise to me. So I'll give him credit for that, too. But the comedy doesn't hold up well at all. And I mean, it's not... Clearly, it's juvenile in nature, meant for 14-year-olds. For the fact that
to a certain extent.
The fact that it's full of titties, definitely a whole fucking buttresses that too, which is a word I intend to use as many times as possible today. The low-budget love is stupid. It's somehow even more juvenile than South Park, and it's definitely indicative of their early work. It's a movie that appeals to 14-year-olds in its humor, but it's not funny enough to justify even them liking it. It's the type of movie that would, and probably did, play on Comedy Central at 2 a.m. when only people who can't sleep are watching it and waiting to jerk off to Girls Gone Wild commercials. Not saying that 14-year-old Larry did such a thing, but just saying that's probably a thing people did. I wouldn't know. It sticks with you like a weird virus, but it isn't good enough to merit a rewatch, or 2 rewatches if you're me. It's not worth remembering, and the worst thing to possibly do would be stupid enough to own this movie on DVD. Those people are idiots, and you should hate them. That's it. That's all I got.
7 3/4 out of 10.
Well, I'm impressed with you for sticking with that.
I can't wait for the sequel.
I give it a 3.
That's still better than I thought you would have given it.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, the writing is not like the dialogue is fine. You know, it's not funny, most of it, but it's not terrible. It's not like Last Days of American Crime of like they hit banks hard and fast and they were damn good at it. It's like, you know, it's 90s humor. It's fine. It works. It's just not funny. So it wasn't. It's by far not.
It's not trying to be something it's not either. It knows.
No, it definitely. And like I've said before, I begrudgingly give it credit. It knows what it is. It's not trying to be anything more than a movie with titties and funny jokes about orgasms and slap people with dildos because that's funny. So I'll give them credit there. Like, it's not trying to be something it's not. That said, it's also real stupid. Like, I don't know. Like, I still can't believe I say these words, but I ultimately enjoyed a movie called Big Money Rustlers, which was the ICP Western movie, which wrap your head around that one. But that was another one that was like so dumb, but they leaned into it in just the right way that it became entertaining. This just like leans in, but it's like, titties are funny. Let's make that old lady come. Like, I don't know, man. I just get nothing out of that. Like,
hey, old ladies deserve to come.
No one is saying old ladies don't deserve to come, you fucking politician. Don't twist my words, this is not the debate stage, Joe Biden.
I will twist your words just like I twist old lady nipples, because they deserve to come.
Jesus Christ. Can we be done with this now?
I'll get a t-shirt that says that.
Man, I have thought there's some of the t-shirts we could have for this fucking ridiculous podcast. Shouldn't be allowed. We shouldn't be allowed to have a podcast.
Yeah, we might get the F-boo-I. I can't talk.
F-boo-I.
God. We're going down. But, well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We're always glad to have you. And, yeah, you should hit us up on Facebook, on Twitter, send us an email, balesandnetflix@gmail.com. Make sure to stay tuned. We have new episodes coming out every Sunday. And, yeah. Any final thoughts?
Never again. 3 and out.
It's gonna happen.
Oh,
we're gonna get you there.
Remind me, you're doing
what is it called?
Barely Lethal next week.
Barely Legal.
Barely Lethal.
But no. You gave me Girls Gone Wild. Barely Legal.
I sure didn't.
No, yeah. Well, then why have I watched it 4 times this week?
Well, that just sounds like your normal. That sounds like a normal week for you.
Those are really weird, stupid pornos.
The Girls Gone Wild? It's not
Yes.
porn. It's just like filming naked women.
Well, yeah. I mean, lame, weird, softcore. Why would you actually jerk off to it unless you were 14-year-old Larry / 14-year-old Isaac? I'm trying to remember because I definitely had a phase where, in lieu of having access in early internet days to good pornography videos, I would jerk off to certain movies that would have sexy things in them. And I'm trying to remember if I ever jerked off to some titties in Orgazmo.
I'm
not sure.
Almost certain you have.
I don't remember for sure, but I would bet so.
I believe you did, yeah.
Yeah. T-Rex is hot.
You like hearing Trey Parker's voice asking him to fudge her with his own voice?
Yeah.
Clever.
That does, yeah.
Yeah?
Because it's fudge instead of fuck. And that's funny, because she's heavy and probably eats a lot of fudge. Calorie-dense fudge.
You know, I will say I'm impressed with your commitment to calling everything clever. I'm impressed that you did not relent at all.
I calls them like I sees them, Larry.
Your vision is, you're very blind.
The Helen Keller of podcasts.
Yeah, okay, so I do want to wrap this up, but this does bring up an interesting point. Not long ago, you watched The Last Dragon, which is a movie that I love. I'd say it's probably, my love is equivalent, I'd say it's probably in the top 100 of my movies. If I really had to make a list, it'd be in the top 100, I think. It'd be like in the 70s or 60s. And you love Orgazmo, so folks at home, why don't you watch both of these movies, and then write in and tell us which one is better?
That is a good challenge. I like that. We'll throw it on the gauntlet.
Because they're both pretty stupid. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah.
Last Dragon is stupid as hell, but it's also an amazing movie on top of that.
It was entertaining.
Yeah, see? So, I can see with the look in your eyes you're going to lose that particular challenge. So please write in and declare me your winner. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing in this world makes me happier than being told that I'm right. So, yeah, that's it. Barely Lethal. Can't wait. Let's see what Samuel L. is up to these days with a bunch of teenage girls.
I was going to say, hopefully he goes topless, but then you had to ruin it for me.
Your servant.
Oh, golly. Well, stay tuned. We will be here again next Sunday. Thank you so much for listening. And have a good night. We love you.
Jesus and I will smell you later.